Assalamu alaikum, Elena here, the Muslim travel girl, and today we're talking about visa waivers, tourism visas, which one is a better choice for British citizens who are going for Umrah to Saudi Arabia. British citizens in general are quite lucky when it comes to Saudi tourist visas because they have two options that they can choose from. One is cheaper, one is more expensive, and everything depends on what actually you want to get out of your visit in Saudi Arabia. This is actually a question that comes up quite often for me of which one is a better visa, and my own family and friends are going for Umrah and they ask exactly the same question. And although I do have videos on visa waivers and tourist visas, I thought why not compare them and see which one is actually a better choice for somebody who is going for Umrah. So without further ado, let's get started. The first visa we are going to look into is the Visa Waiver, which is available to British citizens. It is basically a visa-free option for Brits, similar to the STA or the ESTA, which is for the US. It allows you to enter into the kingdom to perform Umrah. It allows you to go on a business, on a medical visit, or to study, or tourism, of course, where you can explore. So it has various different options, and it's only for British citizens. It's for those with a British passport. It is much cheaper to actually issue yourself a visa waiver. It costs only about £35, and it has a few conditions different than the tourist visa. So one of the conditions is that it's only one entry visa. You can only issue yourself the visa waiver to enter once into Saudi Arabia. And I really want to clarify this because some people messaged me and said, oh, it says once entry. Does that mean once entry into Mecca? Or can I go to Medina and then go back to Mecca and do another Umrah? And I want to clarify that a lot of people issue those visas for the purpose of Umrah, and Saudi has made it very easy for those people to go for Umrah now, alhamdulillah. However, when we are talking about visa purposes in general, not every single person who visits Saudi Arabia goes for Umrah. So sometimes we look at it from our own perspective of like Umrah visits, but in reality it's a countrywide visit, right? This visa allows you single entry into the country. Therefore, you can do as many Umrah as you want and go to Mecca, go to Medina. Since you're not exiting the country, you're totally fine. But let's say you issue yourself a visa waiver, you enter Saudi, you perform Umrah, you go to Dubai, and then on the way back, you want to go back into Saudi Arabia. Unfortunately, you will need another visa waiver, or as we'll see later, a tourist visa. So it really depends on the purpose of your visit into the country. If you are only going once for Umrah, then obviously a visa waiver is a better option. You can stay maximum 6 months into Saudi Arabia with a visa waiver. So remember that I know for most purposes, this is not actually required because most people go for Umrah for 10 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks maximum. However, because this visa allows tourism, medical, and business, you could technically go and visit Saudi Arabia for 6 months, again, without exiting the country because it's a single entry for the purpose of Umrah. Or if you're a digital nomad and you work from anywhere in the world and you want to live in Saudi for 6 months, you could do that with this particular visa. Now, this visa doesn't actually include insurance, like travel and medical insurance. So I always highly recommend you getting yourself a travel and a medical insurance in one, in case your luggage gets lost, which has happened to me in Saudi Arabia, in case you get hospitalized abroad in Saudi or elsewhere, which has happened to me as well. And I do have videos on those, which I'm going to link. However, for me personally, it's very important to travel with adequate insurance because although Saudi provides public medical services and their health centers, if something major happens to you, then you will be out of pocket. And honestly, there are several insurances that can cover you. Worry about the Islamic principles of insurance. Do your own research. I personally issue myself an insurance because I do like peace of mind. And if something happened to me, I wouldn't be able to cover this cost without an insurance. With this visa waiver, you cannot perform Hajj. So it's very important. With neither actually of those two visas, you can perform Hajj. So keep that in mind. You will be kicked out. They're very strict. And I know Hajj time is going to come and people are going to start asking because it's a yearly thing. But you cannot perform Hajj with either of this visa. And trying to enter the country to perform Hajj, I feel it disputes the purpose of actual Hajj. I do have a Hajj series if you want to check those out and if you're going for Hajj, inshallah. The visa waiver needs to be issued before you enter Saudi Arabia. So before you enter the country, you will have to issue yourself a visa waiver. It only takes a few minutes to do all the documentations, get your passport details and a photo that you need, of course, for that. It gets issued pretty much straight away. However, you will need this before you enter Saudi Arabia. So this is generally what you need for the visa waiver. It costs £35 as a summary. You can enter only once. You can go Umrah, you can go tourism, and you can stay in the country for 6 months, and it doesn't come with a travel insurance. Let's go and check out what the tourist visa is for Saudi Arabia. And again, this is a visa that is available to 66 countries, including, in certain conditions, first-degree relatives of people within those country passports, and also for those who are in the UK, for example, on a permanent residence or on a spousal visa, etc. They can also issue themselves as a category B those tourist visas as well. Again, a reminder, the visa waiver is for British citizens, British passport holders. This one can be issued by people who live in the UK but don't have a British passport. It's a very important distinction because sometimes people have spouses from abroad. They can issue those visas for them as well. Now, the tourist visa costs approximately £120, which is a considerable amount more than the visa waiver. However, you can have multiple entries into the country if you are going for Umrah, for example. That means that you can exit Saudi Arabia, you can go to Dubai, as in the previous example, and then come back to Saudi Arabia for a day, perform another Umrah, and then go back to the UK. That doesn't have no problem because this is a multi-entry visa. It allows you 90 days into the country. So you can do multiple trips within that year for 90 days in total. For example, in this case, if you were to perform Umrah in September and then go back in December and then go for Umrah in Ramadan, for example, in February, March, then you will be better off getting yourself a tourist visa rather than a visa waiver. So you have more flexibility. And again, how many Umrahs you perform within Saudi Arabia has nothing to do with the multi-entry visa. On this visa, again, cannot perform Hajj. So again, none of these visas allow you Hajj. However, this visa comes with a travel insurance. It comes with a minor travel insurance that you actually buy at the end of the package. The £20 that you pay of the 120 is for the insurance, and you can issue yourself the certificate at the end of it in case you get asked at the airport. Normally, they don't ask anymore, especially from the UK, since we're talking about UK, because you do have a visa waiver. But I have had cases a few years ago where I was asked to show this certificate. I don't know why. However, you can issue the certificate. So another important part of this visa is that you can actually issue this visa on arrival into Saudi Arabia. You do not have to have prior authorization to travel, which is what the visa waiver is. With the tourist visa, you can arrive into Saudi Arabia. For example, you're in Dubai, you have a few days extra, you want to go to Saudi, you can issue that on visa on arrival. They have a kiosk where you can put your details and issue your visa. Pretty straightforward, very easy to find information and issue yourself the visa, and then you just go through immigration. Again, this is only for the tourist visa, not the visa waiver. So as a summary for the tourist visa, you have 90 days within the country that you can stay. It's a multi-entry visa. It costs £120 and it does come with a travel insurance. You can perform as many Umrah as you want within that time limit. However, you cannot perform Hajj as well. Now, which is a better option if you're going to Saudi Arabia for Umrah? If you're going once a year, definitely the visa waiver is a way better option for you as a family. It's also much cheaper. For a family of 4, it costs approximately 120 or 150 pounds instead of 400-500 pounds for 4 people, which is a considerable amount of saving, almost as one-way ticket. Definitely, if you're going once and you just want to enter for 2-3 weeks, do your Umrah, then visa waiver is the best choice. Now, if you are someone who travels often, who takes advantage of budget airlines, like the Wizz Air flights that are going from London to Jeddah, and you're flexible, the better option for you in that case will be to get yourself a tourist visa, because you have 90 days, you can stay within the country within that year, and it's a multi-entry visa. So you can literally do a weekend in Saudi Arabia, do Umrah, go back to the UK. So again, it really depends on the purpose you're visiting. Generally, if you are visiting once a year, the visa waiver is a way cheaper option. I'm going to leave links in the description of every single article that I have on muslimtravelgirl.com, which has a ton of information on DIY Umrah, as well as a free guide that you can download yourself for budget Umrah, plus DIY Umrah packages that I do every single month of the year, where it helps you basically pre-plan your own DIY Umrah without being overwhelmed. If you like this video, like, share and subscribe. I share a lot of DIY Umrah videos, Muslim-friendly destinations, travel vlogs, solo Muslim travel, and a lot about life. So I hope to see you again. Assalamu alaikum.